Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and let's see, this is the 15th of November we're recording this on. Walk in the Park is a weekly public access television show in Ithaca, New York, a series. You can see all my episodes online, however, at walkinthepark.tv, as it shows on the screen right now. Walkinthepark.tv is the URL, is the website. Go there, and you can see 179 episodes. This one will be up online within a couple of days. Okay, Walk in the Park is a weekly public access television series in Ithaca, New York, and you can see all of our series at pegasus.webstarts.com. See the schedule of all the series that we have, and also you can find out about trainings. Anyone can become a producer on public access in Ithaca. So I encourage you, it's your voice, as they say. You can come down here, you take a little course, get certified, you can take out equipment, you can use a studio, and make your own shows. And it's great for all different kinds of purposes, organizations, and so forth. I've been doing this for years. Go to our Facebook page, at Pegasus TV, and like our page and see some of the things that we've got coming up. And coming up this week, right now, we are going to go to, well, we're going to go to several places, but in general, we're going to go to Robert H. Treman State Park in November. But I got a couple of other places to look at before we get there, just some shorts. When was it? I don't know, Friday or Saturday, something like that. I went to up to Taughannock Falls State Park, and let's take a look at the frost on the falls. Got a really short little video for that coming right up here. So you can see that November's bite of frost, some cold weather is getting around our falls. There were no big heavy ice formations yet, but then the trails are still open mostly around here. So the reason I went up to Taughannock that day, I was hoping that morning, this was like Saturday morning, I think it was, supposed to go down in the low teens, but it didn't really do that, didn't get that low. And I was hoping to see some mist on Cayuga Lake, and there was a little bit. I'll show another video at another time of mist on Cayuga Lake. In fact, I think I used Cayuga Lake in October, but I think I actually did show that on a previous show. But anyway, I went up to the south point on Taughannock Point and took some video of geese primarily, and you'll see a line of bright line in the background. That actually is some mist rising from the lake, illuminated by the sunrise when this video was taken. So let's go up to Taughannock Point. On a frosty November dawn, Canada geese swim along South Point at Taughannock Falls State Park in Cayuga Lake. So did you see that line across the lake? It kind of looked almost like snow or something, but actually that was some mist rising on the lake at dawn, below freezing, and the dawn's early light was hitting that. So you notice that was a Park Minute. I have a Park Minute series, which is also shown on this channel, Channel 13, Pegasus, Public Access in Ithaca, and I also showed online on my website in walkinthepark.tv. I put up my Park Minutes. And I have another one that it was actually made from video that was used in a previous episode, and this is after heavy rains last month. I think it was actually maybe October 30th. Yeah, that swelled Ithaca Falls and Buttermilk Falls and Taughannock Falls and all the falls, but I got those first two, Ithaca Falls and Buttermilk Falls. So let's take a look at that Park Minute. Okay, so that was it was a lot of fun that day, looking at the high water. It's very popular. You put that up online, and you get a lot of hits because people like floods. They like drama. So, but now we are going to go to Robert Treman State Park, and we're going to the upper park to first of all look at the old mill. It was built back in 1839, replaced an earlier mill that burned down. The earlier mill was built in the 18 teens, I think, and that burned down, I believe. And this mill has been standing ever since then. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. And it's closed for the season now, and they're doing some work on it, but this is actually what the mill looked like 5 years ago. And you notice that the paint on it is not that great. It's not in that great shape even 5 years ago. And so here's what it looked like this fall, actually early last month. And you notice the bottom part of the building really looks bad, and that's because park staff have been scraping the paint. The Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park, and I'm on the board for that organization, secured a grant from Parks and Trails New York and to work on the mill, including the paint job, primarily the paint job, repainting it, and badly in need of that. So the work was started by park staff, and this is Steve Vorstad. He works at the park. He is scraping paint underneath the roof of the porch that goes around the other side of the mill. And this fellow is Matt Mayers, I guess his name is. Matt Mayers is using a power washer to wash loose paint off, to blow loose paint off. They did a lot of work on it, and they put on a primer coat on the areas that were scraped and so forth and cleaned off, and then they put on an initial coat of paint. So look at it now. It's starting to look good. There's going to be more painting done to it in the spring, additional coats of paint, plus the upper portions of the mill. This is what the porch looks like that they were working on. And the upper portions of the mill will be, let's go back there, just take a look at that. The rest of the mill, that's going to be done by a company that's going to come in, a professional company that's going to come in and finish the paint job. But they got a good start on it. In fact, they might even start this fall. So there's grant money from Parks and Trails New York, secured by the Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park, and the Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park ourselves are going to put in a substantial chunk of money that we have raised over the years through things like 5-cent deposit bottles and cans that we've collected from park patrons they've left behind. Will go towards the mill, towards painting the mill, which it badly needs. Okay, so now we're going to go into the gorge, the upper gorge. I was there just the other day. Let's see, when was that? Sunday, I think it was. Um, and got some nice video in there. So let's take a look in there. First of all, we're going to go into the what's called the slot, the first section of the upper gorge, the entrance gorge. I think that's called Entrance Cascade, that little waterfall right there. Um, and look around at what's going on in there. There we'll end up at the bridge on the other side. So here we go. So you can see the frost is getting in there on the north side of the north-facing side of the gorge, the actual south side of the first part of the gorge. There's some ice, and we're going to go down by Lucifer Falls too, and see also there's a little bit of ice over there. But the trail has been open. I don't know how much longer it's going to be open. They try to keep the trails open as long as they can safely, but as soon as we get some ice in there that makes it dangerous to walk on, or falling rock or falling ice, they close up the gorge trails, and so many of the trails at Treman will be closed. The rim trail going over to the Lucifer Falls overlook from the upper park usually is kept open unless that gets severely icy, which it has from time to time. So one of the hazards that people don't realize in our gorges in the wintertime is not only is there ice to slip on and fall into the stream and drown or whatever, but there's falling rock, and the freezing and thawing of the shale can come down at any time. And so that's in the spring particularly dangerous because, first of all, the rock is thawing, so it's loosened up by the winter freezing. And people go into the gorges, no more ice, they say, and then they get into trouble and get hit by rocks. So, well, anyway, we're going to take a look at the same spot. You notice that when we were looking back to the beginning of the gorge, there was a narrowing as we panned the camera down. I was standing on the bridge at that point looking back at the beginning of the gorge. So there was a narrowing, and that's the section called the Flume that goes right underneath the bridge. And here is a picture, actually a stereograph, of the Flume back in the 1800s, because there was a tourist hotel in the upper park, which actually a lot of archaeological work has been done on, where people came out to see the upper gorge. And there's their version of the bridge at that point, an old wooden bridge, and of course stone, built in the 20s and 30s. And there's the Flume, and there's people standing around. And here's a crop of that stereograph. These pictures, by the way, are from Bill Hecht, who is a local photographer who does both aerial photography, and he likes to find lots of old photographs like these, and he scans them and he makes them available. So we use quite a lot of Bill Hecht's pictures. This is the back of that stereograph. The artistic series, Scenery of Ithaca and Vicinity, New York, the Flume from Below, Enfield Ravine. So this was actually made in New York City. There was a company that did a lot of these old stairgraphs that's located in was located in New York City. So, okay, let's see what we got coming up next here. Oh yeah, we're going to go to Lucifer Falls. But by the way, this is Walk in the Park, weekly public access series TV series in Ithaca, New York. walkinthepark.tv to see all of our episodes online once I put them up. They all are up except for this one, which will be up in a couple of days, this being November 15th, so probably by the 17th or the 18th at the latest, it should be up online to view anywhere on the planet at any time, anywhere you have a internet connection. So let's go to the brink of Lucifer Falls, the big waterfall, the big 115-foot high waterfall that you can walk right next to, and we'll take a look at some video I took there on the weekend. It can be a little bit of an acrophobic place, and as I was coming out of there, there was a fellow that he had a walking stick like I did, and he just got really nervous. He didn't want to go up by the falls there, and I've known a number of other people that gotten really nervous around the falls and the high cliffs there, and I used to be like that many years ago, but I've been around the gorges so much that I don't think about it much anymore. I worry more about what's going to fall on my head than from me falling off the cliff. So, but anyway, that it is like that in some of the gorges, particularly at Treman when you get by Lucifer Falls there, because it's quite a drop. So now we're going to go down to the lower part. This would have been Monday, 2 days ago. I went to look at some trails. Well, let's see. Actually, our last episode was called Trails Makeover, and the Finger Lakes State Park's Trails crew, which is a relatively new thing, has been going out and fixing a lot of sections of trails, particularly around the Ithaca area at this point, that old steep areas or wet areas that need some either replacement steps or boardwalk or other structures that they have developed that will make them cut down on erosion and make the trails a little safer. So they've been using pressure-treated lumber a lot in making these box-type structures on staircases and other structures, and they're expected to last for quite some time. So I was told that at Treman, last week we covered the work at Buttermilk Falls State Park and Upper Buttermilk. But I was told that also there's a lot has been done at Robert Treman State Park, particularly on the Gorge Trail as it comes out of the lower park, behind the park office, by the big parking lot down there for the swimming area. The Gorge Trail, if you walk up there, you know it's quite steep. So let's see what they've done to replace some of the old eroding steps that were in the trail. So. If you call the park office 273-3440 at Robert Treman State Park, you get, if you don't get a person who happens to be there, you'll get a recording that tells you that, well, the trails have been open. All the trails have been open, but we'll see how long that lasts when the frost comes in. But it also says that the campground is closed for the season. It closed last month. And the swimming, of course, has been closed since September. Was extended, I think, into mid-September on the weekends. So let's go over and take a look at the swimming area, what it looks like now. The lower falls, which you can still walk into, and they've drained the dam that holds back the swimming area, pool area. There's a boards you take out of a dam there, and so the water's much lower, so you can actually walk out on a gravel bar and look at the falls from there and take pictures. So let's go over to the lower falls. So that shows you what we're missing. We'll have to wait till next summer to be able to do that again, to go swimming at the lower falls. But it's certainly one of the most charming swimming areas in any state park in New York. And I remember years ago when I worked for the state parks, I was up at the state fair. There's a little state park at the fair, and we had an exhibit up showing the swimming at the lower falls. And people came up to that exhibit and says, "Where is that? I've got to go there. It's unbelievable." And it is. We love it. Although it can be kind of, water can be kind of chilly some days because it's in the gorge. So we're going to, let's see, only got a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to take us over to Fall Creek Gorge. I went for a walk there, I don't know, probably last month. And this is one of Bill Heck's aerial photographs showing Ithaca Falls at the bottom. And then right in the middle is a bridge over Fall Creek Gorge. And then just upstream from that, might be able to make out a waterfall, very faint. And then above that is the suspension bridge that joins the Art Squad campus, Johnson Art Museum, crossing the gorge to the area north of the gorge, the residential area up there. So I don't have any video of that, but this is looking at that falls from Stewart Avenue Bridge, called Forest Falls or Forest Fall. And we're going to walk over there. It's a short walk. Here's a map that the Cornell Botanical Garden puts on their exhibit there. And I walked from the bridge where it says "You are here" and walk into the gorge. And let's see what else I have here. I think last time I showed some of these pictures. So yeah, so that's looking upstream from Forest Fall. There's Forest Fall again from the bridge. And this is showing the waterfalls in the gorge from Ithaca Falls in the lower left, just below Stewart Avenue Bridge, and then Forest Fall and then Horseshoe Falls, and Rocky Falls above that, and finally Trip Hammer Falls. There's like 5 waterfalls in the gorge from Beebe Lake on down to downtown Ithaca. So now we're down in the gorge on that Horseshoe Falls trail, looking in the bottom. You see the water. That's actually the top of Forest Fall. So let's see if we can, go back to, that's the top of Forest Fall there. So that's where I was. Now let's go take a look at a stereograph that Bill recorded. This is a picture of Forest Fall as well, back in the 1800s. I think the same view looking over the top of the falls to downtown. So there it is there. So right in the bottom where that still water is right at the top of that still water is the top of Forest Fall. So okay, so that would correspond to what we see here. There, more or less. The rocks have changed a bit. That's what I believe is going on. Okay, so that's all I have time for today. I want to thank you all very much for joining me, and I hope you'll turn off this screen and go outside for a walk in the park. So we'll see you again soon. Get a picture here. I gotta get a picture up here to end this up with here. Here, we'll do the rim of Taughannock.